welcome to the channel for my Premier League predictions. Game week 4. Game week 3 was an exciting week full of surprises. How on earth did Everton do this? They were winning, leading by 2-0 on 86 minutes, and in the blink of an eye, Everton lost the game by 3-2. Going to this game week 4, I'm looking out for so many spot-on predictions. As in game week 3, I had 3 games spot-on predicted. So going to this game week 4, I'm looking out for at least 4 games spot-on predicted. So don't waste time. Let's get into the game week 4 predictions. Yes, the first game in game week 4 is between Southampton versus Manchester United. Southampton in game week 3 lost 3-1 against Brentford, which in that game I got it spot on predicted. And United also in game week 3, their game against Liverpool, I predicted a 3-1 victory for Liverpool. But at the end of the day, Liverpool ended up taking 3.3 goals against Manchester United at Old Trafford. But going to this game in game week 4, this will be a different ball game. United must bounce back from this defeat against Liverpool. So going to this game, I'm predicting Manchester United to win by 2-0. United 2, Southampton 0. Yes, moving on to the next game in game week 4 is between Brighton versus Ipswich Town. In game week 3, Brighton went to the Emirates and managed to get a 1-1 draw with Aston. And Ipswich Town also went home and they drew 1-1 with Fulham. In that game, I got it spot on predicted. I predicted Ipswich Town 1, Fulham 1, and at the end of the day, I got it spot on predicted. So going to this game in game week 4, Brighton facing Ipswich Town. This will be an interesting and a tough game for Ipswich Town. Going to this game, I'm predicting Brighton to at least get a 3-1 victory over Ipswich Town. Brighton 3, Ipswich Town 1. Just moving on to the next game is between Crystal Palace versus Leicester City. Crystal Palace in game week 3 managed to get a 1-1 draw at Stamford Bridge with Chelsea, and Leicester City also at King Power Stadium managed to lose 2-1 against Aston Villa, which was an interesting game. Going to that game, I predicted a 2-2 draw between Leicester City and Aston Villa, but well, at the end of the day, the match ended in 2-1 favor of Aston Villa. But going to this game, Crystal Palace at home against Leicester City, this will be an interesting game to call. This match could end up in a draw, so I'm going for a 2-2 draw. Crystal Palace 2, Leicester City 2. Yes, moving on to the next game in game week 4 is between Fulham versus West Ham United. In game week 3, Fulham had a 1-1 draw with Ipswich Town, and West Ham United also were at home at the London Stadium and they lost 3-1 against Manchester City, who are the league's favourites. Going to this game in game week 4 will be an interesting game. This is a London derby, and going to this game, I'm predicting a win for West Ham United. My prediction is West Ham United 2, Fulham 1. Oh yes, moving on to the next game is between Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest. In game week 3, Liverpool managed to secure a 3-0 win at Old Trafford against Manchester United, and Nottingham Forest in game week 3 got a draw against Wolves. Going to this game in game week 4, Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest at Anfield. This is a must-win game since Liverpool have started 3-3. They've won all their last 3 games without conceding any goal in the Premier League. So going to this game, I'm predicting a 3-0 victory for Liverpool. Liverpool 3, Nottingham Forest 0. Oh yes, moving on to the next game in game week 4 is between Manchester City versus Brentford. In game week 3, Manchester City managed to secure a 3-1 victory over West Ham at the London Stadium, and Brentford also got a 3-1 victory over Southampton. Going to this game in game week 4, Manchester City versus Brentford at the Etihad Stadium. This will be a very tough game for Brentford. So going to this game right after the international break, I'm predicting Manchester City to get a 2-0 victory over Brentford. Man City 2, Brentford 0. Yes, moving on to the next game in game week 4 is between Aston Villa versus Everton. Everton in game week 3 surprised everybody on 86th minute in their game against AFC Bournemouth. Everton was leading by 2 goals to 0. In the blink of an eye, Everton managed to lose the game by 3 goals to 2, which was unbelievable. The performance was abysmal. And going to this game against Aston Villa, who also in game week 3 managed to secure a 2-1 victory at the King Power Stadium against Leicester. This will be an interesting and a tough game at Villa Park. Everton going to Villa Park, this will be a done deal for Aston Villa. Going to this game, I'm predicting Aston Villa to get a 3-1 victory over Everton. Aston Villa 3, Everton 1. Moving on to the next game in game week 4 is between AFC Bournemouth versus Chelsea. Going to this game, Chelsea is coming out from a 1-1 draw against Crystal Palace at the Stamford Bridge. This was not good enough, even though Chelsea in their previous game managed to score 6 goals against Wolves. In this game against Crystal Palace, they couldn't score more goals to secure a win or secure all the 3 points. But well, AFC Bournemouth too are on good form. In their last game against Everton, they did a last-minute comeback and they got a 3-2 victory over Everton. So going to this game at home against Chelsea will be a very tough game for Chelsea right after the international break. This will be a very tough and interesting game. Going to this game, I'm predicting a 2-1 victory for Chelsea. Chelsea 2, AFC Bournemouth 1. Just moving on to the next game in game week 4 is between Tottenham Hotspur versus Arsenal. In game week 3, Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium managed to get a 1-1 draw against Brighton. And Tottenham Hotspur also lost 2-1 against Newcastle United at the St. James Park. Going to this game in game week 4 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium at London, this is going to be an interesting game to call. This game could end up in a draw, but well, let me go for a win for Arsenal. I'm predicting a 2-1 victory for Arsenal. Arsenal 2, Tottenham Hotspur 1. Oh yes, moving on to the last game in game week 4 is between Wolves versus Newcastle United. Going to this game, Wolves is coming from a 1-1 draw against Nottingham Forest in game week 3. And Newcastle is also coming from a 2-1 victory over Tottenham Hotspur in game week 3. Going to this game in game week 4 will be an interesting and a tough game for Wolves at home. But going to this game, I'm predicting a 3-1 victory for Newcastle United. Newcastle United 3, Wolves 1. Yes, so these are my Premier League predictions for game week 4, which is coming on right after the international break. I'll leave a link in the description. Go and check out my good friend Mr. Footballer Luz. He also does similar prediction videos for all the game weeks, and he has an interesting channel that I think you may like it. Go and check him out. Comment your predictions and your thoughts at the comment section. Subscribe to this channel too. We don't waste too much every time. I'm your boy Andy Fine. Until we meet in another video. Bye bye for now.